Let's get started. Let's talk about the first topic today is The Mandalorian. Thank God we have this show right now. Thank God. This is the only show that I watch like with a passion these days. I mentioned in previous episodes that I like watching Mr. Robot, but this last season is not really interesting to me compared to the first season. It's good in its own way, but in other aspects, it's kind of disappointing for me to watch. I mean, if you compare the first season of Mr. Robot to this last season that's currently airing, it's a totally different show. And the recent episode that was aired last week will tell you just about like how this show just shifted into a totally different new area. And I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but yeah, it's not the same show as it was before for me, anyways. So yeah, I don't really like watching Mr. Robot that much. I'm not excited for the new episodes that are coming out. But for The Mandalorian, holy cow. Thank God we have this show. If you don't know what The Mandalorian is, here's the trailer.
Is the world more peaceful since the revolution? It is a shame that your people suffered. But bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
So let's get the obvious out of the way. Yes, it's inspired by Western movies and TV shows of the past. Yes, it's featuring a bounty hunter with no face. It's just a mask. And he goes around causing trouble. There's no Jedi involved. There's no Skywalkers as the main lead. Thank God. And yes, it's really good. You have to watch it. Definitely have to watch this show. Why? Okay, let me tell you why. Okay? Star Wars in general. Here's my beef with Star Wars. Okay? I don't like the Star Wars movies. I mean, they all are really subpar. They all really suck in my opinion. I mean, the best movie out of all of them, we can all agree, was Empire Strikes Back. And here's why. That movie wasn't directed by George Lucas. Now, here's the thing about George Lucas. George Lucas is a great creator. Okay? I'll give him that. The universe that Star Wars is based upon, that he created, yeah, he did an awesome job. Awesome. But as a director, he is awful. Okay? Now, let me tell you why. If you saw the prequels, you'll know what I'm talking about. When you see these actors in his movies, I mean, these are all credible actors. These are all amazing, talented actors. Okay? If you don't believe me, just watch their other work. But when you see these actors in his movie, in his Star Wars movies, they really suck. And why do they suck? It's because they are given awful dialogue and awful direction. Okay? George Lucas is a talented creator, but he is an awful director. And he is a perfectionist, and he really nitpicks and keeps tinkering with his movies all the time, and it makes it worse and worse and worse. It's like a plastic surgeon that's never satisfied with his work. He just keeps hacking his client until there's nothing left of him. All right? So if you ask me to like sit down and watch the Star Wars movies from start to finish, it would be torture for me, okay? They're all awful. The prequels, the original series 3, and then this latest shit that J.J. Abrams is making. And I have lots to say about J.J. Abrams. But yeah, I don't like the Star Wars movies. I don't get excited sitting down and watching them. All right? And The Last Jedi was awful. And if you're going to watch if you're going to pay money to see The Rise of Skywalker in a movie theater, you're a sucker, okay? Okay, you're gonna be fooled twice here. Okay, no doubt that I'm not gonna sit and pay to watch The Rise of Skywalker in a movie theater after what I did, what happened in The Last Jedi. Felt so betrayed. No apologies, nothing. I mean, no, it's not gonna happen to me again. So, The Empire Strikes Back was the best movie out of all of these movies. Everyone agrees. And why is because it wasn't directed by George Lucas. It was directed by George Lucas's teacher, his film teacher. Okay? I forgot his name, Irvine something, but with his direction, he put new life into Star Wars. He focused more on the characters, the relationships aspects, right? We have the tension between Han and Leia, and then Yoda and Luke, and then Darth Vader and Luke, and these relationships. It's all about relationships now. And that's what made that movie great, okay? George Lucas is out of touch. He doesn't know anything about relationships. I don't know about his movies outside of Star Wars, but he's just an awful director. Just based on what I saw in the prequels, that was just so cringeworthy and awful. And I paid to see all three of those movies, those prequels, in a movie theater. It was unbearable torture to watch because he just doesn't have it as a director. You can see it. The actors are talented, but the scripts and the direction they were given was awful. Okay, so I would say this. The universe of Star Wars is amazing. The execution of the Star Wars movies is awful. Okay, and we have George Lucas to thank for that. And you got to ask yourself, why did George Lucas sell the rights to Star Wars to Disney? And I'll tell you why. He doesn't have any passion for this anymore. Okay? Just imagine being George Lucas. You receive like so much hate from people, like criticizing your every move, your every direction, everything that you made. You deal with that hate every day. It snowballs, and the fans bring it up in forums and videos and in groups and all those chats and all that. It gets to you. I know what it's like, because when you're a creator, whether you're creating Star Wars or creating YouTube videos, you're going to get hate, a lot of it. So I can see that George Lucas was fed up, because if he wasn't fed up, if he ignored the haters, he would still be making Star Wars movies to this day. But he didn't. He's not. He gave it up. He sold out. All right? So because he's not passionate anymore. He's sick of the hate, I bet. So was it a good move for him to sell Star Wars to Disney? Yes, I think so. Because if he made more movies under his direction, it would get worse and worse, and the hate would just get bigger and bigger. That's what I would say. Okay? Now, taking the universe and taking the Star Wars universe and putting it in someone else's hands who has more passion is the better move. And the result is The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is taken care of. The universe was created by George Lucas, but the direction is now under Jon Favreau, who was the director of the first Iron Man, and John Filoni, I think his name is, right? He was in Star Wars Rebels. He was creator of Star Wars Rebels. These two guys understand Star Wars. They did their homework, okay? And it pays off. Like when you watch this TV show, there's only 3 episodes, and each of them are amazing. I just love watching him, and yeah, it breathes new life. I have a fire now for Star Wars. Like, this is what I wanted from the beginning. Like, I wanted this universe and this kind of story involved and this kind of relationship and this kind of direction. It's the perfect balance now. It's the Star Wars universe is balanced now, thanks to this show. If you don't believe me, just watch it and you'll see what I mean. And here's why. It's, I'm sick of seeing the Skywalkers being front and center of every movie. I'm sick of them, okay? Luckily, this show doesn't focus on Skywalkers. It focuses on a side character, a bounty hunter. That's amazing. The underdog. Finally, God. Boba Fett. We all loved Boba Fett in the first original movie, right? But now, a character like Boba Fett, the Mandalorian, is front and center. It's underdog. Finally, something different. You know, you get a different perspective in the Star Wars universe. You know, and I like his take more than the Skywalker's point of view in the Star Wars universe, because I'm just tired of it. It's like seeing a TV show from the perspective of kings and queens, you know, royalty. You know, why can't you make that universe and put it in the hands of like the poor, the middle class, or some other person's perspective? And this is the finally, after years and years of Star Wars movies and TV shows, we finally have it here. Thank God. And what I like about this character, his name is the Mandalorian, is that he wears a helmet, and yet he is more riveting than any Skywalker or lead character in any other Star Wars movies. Why? Because he's the strong, silent, alpha male. You know, those Skywalkers are bitches, okay? Whiny little bitches. I couldn't stand Luke Skywalker in the original series. I couldn't stand Anakin growing up in the prequels. I couldn't stand Rey and Poe and Finn and this new millennial generation. And here's the point. George Lucas and J.J. Abrams don't understand characters. They don't know how to develop them. They're wimpy people when you look at them. When you look at George and JJ, these guys, JJ, the problem with JJ is he starts something and doesn't know how to finish it. He starts Star Trek, but he doesn't finish it. He starts Westworld, but doesn't know how to finish it. He starts Star Wars, but doesn't know. You see this pattern? He starts these franchises. He reboots these old movies, and then he doesn't finish them, and then they just end really bad. I hated Star Trek, the new spinoff. I hated Westworld, where it's heading now. And I hate Star Wars after The Last Jedi. It's just getting worse and worse. So when I see J.J. Abrams, I know that he's going to start something, but he's not going to finish it. And that's why I'm not going to watch this Rise of Skywalker in the movie theaters. All right? But this series, Jon Favreau, here's the thing about Jon Favreau. He directed the first Iron Man movie. That movie created the MCU. Okay? Out of all the Marvel movies, which one was the most memorable outside of Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame? It was Iron Man, the first movie. And that movie had everything. It had the character, it had the story, it had the comedy, it had the visual effects. Everything was well balanced. Favreau understands balance, and he does his homework. And he really pulled it off with his Mandalorian TV show. I mean, he's got this character. He studied Star Wars. He puts all the Easter eggs. He understands the audience that wants this show. You know, that grew up with so much disappointment from George Lucas and J.J. Abrams. So, any project that Favreau is behind, I'm totally supportive of him, because he does his homework. He listens. He understands his audience. So please watch Mandalorian. I just love this show. The character is so good. The story and the music. Let me talk about the music. That's the second thing I hated about the Star Wars movies was the music. That overblown operatic music that's just constantly blowing in your ears throughout every scene of the movies. I can't stand the original soundtrack to Star Wars because it's just overbearing. It's just overdone. It's just John Williams. Say what you want about him. For me, he is a dinosaur. He doesn't listen to anybody except himself. He just wants to blast his music in every scene of every Star Wars movies. That's my opinion. Okay? I just wish someone could shut him off in most scenes, because yeah, his presence has to be felt in every scene in every Star Wars movie. So thank God they had someone else provide the soundtrack and score to this TV show, and it's much better. Why? Because it's less operatic, it's less showy, it's just gritty and more westerny, and it's more minimalistic. And that's what I like, okay? Because it reminds me, everyone's saying it reminds me of a more like a 70s soundtrack, like a Rocky soundtrack. And I tend to agree. The instruments that he uses, more guitar and recorders, more Led Zeppelin-like and Rocky Balboa. Yeah, I agree. And it's great. It suits this TV show. Okay? We don't need John Williams blasting his just upper class operatic music all the time. It's just, that's what turned me off as well from the Star Wars movies. So this formula works, in my opinion, for the Star Wars universe more than J.J. Abrams and George Lucas and John Williams. That formula doesn't work anymore. It's too old. It has to be retired. And thank God we have this show. So I'm looking forward to the next episodes. I'm just watching rewatching again and again these episodes. And that's a good telltale sign of something that's good. If it's a good movie, if it's a good TV show, you would be watching it over and over and over again. Okay? That's the sign of a good movie or TV show. That's it. So, Mr. Robot, I'm sorry to say, but I'm not looking forward to your future episodes. I'm not rewatching those latest episodes. It's too hard to watch. But Mandalorian, it's fun to watch. It's so fun. And Western movies. I'm not really a fan of Western movies, but there are some movies like, for example, 3:10 to Yuma I really loved. And one thing about Western movies is that they really have they are really influenced by samurai movies. Akira Kurosawa movies, for example, old time ago. And I can see that transition, right, from the east to the west, from samurai to western, cowboys and all that. And that's what drew me to Westworld in the beginning, and that's what made me watch Akira Kurosawa movies and some western movies like 3:10 to Yuma. But the theme between samurai and western movies is loneliness, okay? When you're a man with a gun or a samurai sword, you're on your own. The whole world is against you. It's just you and your wits. That's what the whole presence of samurai and western movies are based upon. And The Mandalorian builds upon this. Okay? It's a bounty hunter with his own ship, his own guns, his own weapons. He's left to fend for himself in this cruel, gritty world. And it's all up to him. He's all alone. There's no one else that he can rely upon. Except for the other Mandalorians, but you know what I'm saying. It's all about man versus world. And I like that. Okay? Because each man is alone. Each man is facing the world in his own peculiar way. So definitely check out Mandalorian, okay?
Look outside. They're waiting for you.
Yeah? Good.
And here's another thing. A strong alpha male, silent type, says very few words. Okay? A guy that rambles on and on and on, that's a sign of not an alpha male, okay? So, it's tough, strong, silent type. I like those characters. Okay, now, in contrast, Rise of Skywalker has...
Confronting fear. It's the destiny of a Jedi. Your destiny.
If this mission fails, it was all for nothing.
We're not alone. Good people will fight if we lead them.
Your journey.
I'm not looking forward to this movie. If I was given a free ticket, I still wouldn't be excited to see this movie. Because, like I said, in contrast, these characters suck. I'm not rooting for any of these characters. There's no relationships between these characters. It's just nostalgia. Everyone's looking forward to seeing Palpatine. Maybe, hopefully, see Anakin Skywalker reappear, or Yoda reappear, or Obi-Wan reappear. it's always referring back to the past. Okay, not the present. This is kind of like what modern day society is like, with all these millennials and their smartphones being isolated. There's no real relationships. I mean, Poe has a bromance with Finn. Finn loves Rey, but Rey doesn't love Finn, and Rose loves Finn. But there's nothing. There's nothing. They're just going through the motions. And then Rey and this guy. A guy and a girl fighting. Think about it. A guy and a girl fighting. Who would you rather watch? Would you rather watch a guy fighting a guy or a guy fighting a girl? Mind you, this guy lost to this girl twice. So the third time, I'm not excited because I know he just doesn't have a chance, doesn't stand a chance to this girl. Imagine if this was switched up. Imagine they were boxing, okay? They were in a boxing ring, they had gloves on. A guy and a girl, boxing, duking it out. And you knew for a fact that this girl won 2 out of 3 boxing matches. Would you be looking forward to the third? I don't think so. No. And on a side note, this game. So if you don't know what this game is.
Ready for a rematch later?
Yeah, anytime.
Sounds good. On your way to training?
Always.
All right then. I'll see you later.
Bye.
This is a new game that was recently released called the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And it's just a video game that is based upon this guy. And so far it looks good. But I'll tell you why it's turning me off. Like, I don't want to watch this game or play this game. It's because the lead character is a ginger. He's not. Now, here's the thing. I don't have anything against gingers, but here's another thing. This guy is not good looking. Look. This is your lead character. He's not a good looking guy. And I can't stand his voice. And he looks similar to Luke Skywalker when he was young. So that's what's throwing me off. I mean, this game looks good. The action looks great. But it doesn't make me want to play it because of his lead character. It looks really dull. He looks like the face of a customer that would buy this game. Like nothing special about his facial features is what I'm saying. Doesn't really have any personality or characteristic that makes me root for him either. He looks like another throwaway character, just like that Rey girl, So, if you're asking me, like, would I play this game? No, I wouldn't, because, yeah, he looks really boring. I mean, make some interesting characters. Come on. Stop, making these cookie cutter white male or white female lead characters that have very bland features. And the Mandalorian, in contrast, is so different from all of these characters. You see, they don't show his face. He doesn't talk a lot. His actions speak louder than words. He's a side character that nobody really pays attention to. He's a bounty hunter. He doesn't have a lightsaber. He doesn't believe in any of those Skywalker or the Force bullshit. We need more of these kind of characters. Different, totally different. That's what I'm saying. So, Mandalorian good. Jedi Fallen Order bad. Rise of Skywalker awful, the worst. Okay, that's my take on this. These three. Okay. If you disagree or agree with me, go ahead, leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on these three.